those.
Oh,
and
they're
actually
fun,
well,
man.
yeah.
You know, they describe grip training as the golf of strength sports. You know, it's what it feels like when you're doing a grip event. You know, it's just like, oh, nice.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's not my thing then.
Yeah.
So not only are you opening that gym for Grip Genie as well, you're now having competitions, right?
We're going to, yeah. So we're doing arm lifting USA World Super Series 2021 is an event that's having a lot of grip competitions all over the U.S. and the world, and we're gonna be one of the venues. So it's basically like, of course, all the competitions got shut down last year because of COVID. So the organization's like, well, we haven't been able to do this. Now we want to do it bigger than ever. So we're going to be doing it in multiple places. So we're going to hold one of the competitions at our new facility, which is just small. It's a small room, but it's a stepping stone to an actual real big public gym, you know.
Yeah, what are the grip events?
They double overhand deadlift with a fat grip, a block lift, a hub lift, a rolling handle, smooth, no knurling lift, and you know, I can't think of the other two off the top of it. There's 6 of them. Okay. Yeah. So there's a few double lifts and a few single-handed lifts. Excalibur lift. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, it's been a while since I was around. JL used to compete in those.
They're
actually
fun,
well,
man.
Yeah.
You know, they describe grip training as the golf of strength sports. You know, it's what it feels like when you're doing a grip event. You know, it's just like, oh, nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's not my thing then.
But it's good because you could put a lot of intensity into it, and it's not going to kill you. You know? And honestly, like, I know if you're like what's called a quote unquote gripster, you know, trickster, gripster or something.
Yeah, look at that.
Look, it's kind of stupid, honestly. But besides that, if you're really serious into it, I can imagine you get butt hurt, you know, if you miss a lift. But it doesn't really hurt you. Like if you miss a heavy squat or a heavy bench, shit could destroy your body. You know, you're not going to hurt yourself on a grip lift. So there's a lot there. It's like, just do it. You can just enter a grip competition. It's fun, you know.
When we went up to check out the grand opening of Croc's gym, Janae had a Rolling Thunder there, like a Rolling Thunder event.
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever used a Rolling Thunder before. It was brutal.
Yeah.
That was not easy.
We have one out here, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a lot of cool things you can do with those the grip implements as well. Is you can
pull downs.
You can do pull downs or rows or even pull ups with them and stuff like that. You know, I know you like the weird drop set things with the muscle groups. Well, you could do like a lat pull down to failure and switch it off to a grip, hard to hold grip one, and then or you could switch it around so you get some more back work done. Okay, so like you go to failure on like your traditional lat pull down, then you throw in the grip one with a lighter weight. Well, your grip is a limiting factor there. Your back is still exhausted, and it's getting a little extra work. Well, now you're getting your grip in, so it's fun to do stuff like that with the tools as well.
Now, how long have you been? Now, I imagine you train your grip specifically, right, for these events, right? How long have you been personally training your grip for?
About 4 years.
4 years?
Yeah. I think I started when I was like 9. Right?
Maybe 11.
Maybe 11.
That's unilateral work.
Yeah. Both hands, though.
That's it. Now, you must have seen a tremendous carryover to your, just normal lifts. Like
that's what I was going to ask about, the actual carryover to a deadlift, right? Because a lot of people that have deadlift grip problems will go to a lot of those movements to fix the deadlift grip problems. And a lot of the times that doesn't have correspondence. So what have you seen from that?
Well, from my own personal experience, I found that the deadlifting helped my grip. Because I've always done a lot of my deadlift warm-up sets with a double overhand before switching to a mixed. I just like the feel of it. You know, when it starts to get hard to hold around, the 3 to 4s for me, typically I'll switch to a mix. And I don't have a problem doing the switch late. The technical component of that is not hard. But then you're getting a hell of a lot of sets where you're just, there's a lot of training volume, just double overhand.
Yes.
Grip. Also, walking around in a weight room, carrying around bumper plates with a pinch grip, makes you good at block lift. So doing all that stuff for so long, when I got into grip training, my hands are also fairly large, and I think I have pretty good forearm genetics. My dad's forearms are okay. So all that together is like when I first got into grip training in 2016, it was actually at a grip contest. I just entered a contest. It was a Fit Expo, like, do you want to do this? It's like, yeah, hell yeah, I just want to enter. Just throw me in there. And I did really well. It's like, cool, I'm kind of good at this. So then I just took it from there.
Have you tried finger training? Is that part of your grip training?
Yeah, no, not as much. That's more of a rock climber specific training. I'm not going to think that's going to carry over too well to everything else I do.
Okay.
So I avoid that myself.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking and putting that out there is because I think hypothetically, well, it's from experience too, a lot of the people I see that have grip problems in the deadlift, their hands aren't big, right? And then they have fat hands. Then they start doing grip work and it makes their hands fatter.
Okay.
So then it's harder for them to be able to hold. Where I heard, actually we were at a restaurant many years ago, and Ed Cohn and I were talking about grips. And his hands, you've seen Eddie's hands, right? They're like fingers like this long, right? He was saying with the deadlift, as soon as the thumb and finger, come apart, as soon as the pinky finger opens, you're done.
Yeah.
So you can't let that open. Now, a fat bloated powerlifter won't be able to do that.
Yeah.
Right. I'm surprised I can right now. That's actually pretty good, right? So he mentioned training the fingers for those type of people. Like binder clips. Just using a binder clip like a gripper, but for fingers.
Yeah.
Little tiny binder clips.
Yeah.
And be able to build. But that is what I've always had. I'm just saying this because the people watching for the deadlift, for the people that the other stuff isn't working.
Yeah.
Like the binder clips or anything for the fingers, like you have those webs, that you can grab onto. You can sand.
Yeah.
Digging in sand, steel shot. You can work from the sand to steel shot and go from there. Or newspapers. And well, I guess there's no things new. I'm old.
Yeah.
Right. So newspapers don't exist anymore. But crumpling up magazines and newspapers, which don't exist.
Yeah.
And helps with that correspondence. For the grip stuff.
I think having a campus board or something like a rock climber would have.
Yeah.
It's just a small thing, just in your garage or something, and just doing a little bit. What I found with grip training is, it's almost like a spice. If you want to improve it, the first thing I would do is think of it like salting your food. Just add a little. You don't have to have an entire grip day. You don't have to change your entire workout plan. Just add a little bit.
How's the recovery from that? Because I've heard contrary views, right? Some people say if you train your grip too frequently, just give it up. It's never going to get better, that it takes longer for the grip to recover if you're pounding it hard. Have you seen that to be I've had other people tell me the opposite.
It actually depends on the grip tool. Like grippers, I found that to be the case. Like you can't go those. I find I can't go on those as often. It's more of like a once a week thing. Other ones, it's more of a time of day thing. Your biological prime time. Don't want to train grip in the morning. It's retarded. Just don't do that. You want to train it. Usually, the best time to train it is like in the middle of a session that you're already primed. You know what I mean? Like a squat session or a deadlift session, just add it in there where it's not going to interfere with the rest of your accessories, the rest of the work you got to do. You can add a set or two, or just right at the end, just add in a little bit, and then it's not going to hurt your recovery as much.
Yeah.
And also, it has to be related to the lift. The gripper isn't going to carry over to anything, honestly. Grippers are popular, they're fun, but that is not going to help your grip for deadlifting, for example. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that you had mentioned earlier, I think everybody can kind of benefit from is just merely working up double overhand on deadlifts is for a little bit longer than normal.
Oh yeah, it helps a ton.
Just that idea of sprinkling it in. But what I've used with baseball athletes, like pitchers specifically, is the sand and the rice, the bucket of sand, bucket of rice. But those plate pinches as farmers walks, like between the thumb and the index finger, and then you pinch between the thumb and the middle finger, and you just kind of work your way down.
Yeah.
And I've seen really good benefit from those for just for pitchers specifically, because they need to be able to, kind of improve that grip and kind of really be able to control that baseball as much as they possibly can.
This might sound insane, but just thinking off, like you're talking about the powerlifter with the short hands, fat sausage fingers, hard to, they might actually do very well with some soft tissue work on their hands, just getting hand massages and getting to loosen all that stuff up. They'll probably start to feel more, because I think they're just kind of bound up. When they start to feel a little bit more, they could probably feel their grip a little bit better, have a little bit more control.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So actually, that's something I would recommend to someone with hands built that way.
With a lot of going back into my old multiply days and stuff like that, the hands would swell too. A lot of it was just because of the squat and the gear, and then the bench shirt for sure, because cutting all that off, so that we'd ice our hands after the bench. You just keep them in ice to try to get some of the swelling out of that.
Do you ever raise them up overhead?
Yeah.
So arm wrestlers do that all the time.
Yeah. So stuff like that, I think, plays a role too, right? So that may even be stuff for them to do before they start training the stuff too. before they start training any of the grip work. Or hex holds did help. I will say that. Hex dumbbell holds.
Yeah.
You know, I guess you would call them pinch block holds, but more about the size of a hex dumbbell.
Mm-hmm.
Those helped in the binder clips, but that was really for the deadlift. That's about it. And losing weight.
Losing weight,
but the squat goes down, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have the leverages at that point.
Yeah.
It's not as fun. Man, it's fun to squat when you're like bloated.
Oh yeah,
it feels so good. It's like I love this lift.
Yeah, I've spent most of my life doing that just for that reason, right?
Bloated dick squats.
Yep. So exactly.
So Juji, you had mentioned arm wrestling. You just posted a video on arm wrestling, right, the other day?
Yeah. I worked with Michael Todd last week. He's a champion arm wrestler. He's going against Devin Larratt in Dubai in a couple weeks. It's a big super match they're having. They didn't have any really big matches last year during COVID, so all these arm wrestlers are just kind of like, you know, they're all biting at the chomp to do something. So this is an exciting thing. But yeah, I worked with him last week, and just to kind of, you know, because I wanted to.
No, absolutely, and that's kind of one of the draws to you as an athlete is like you're kind of dipping your toe in all these different things, right? Kind of all at the same time. So it looks like I'm doing it at the same time, and sometimes it is interference, but sometimes it's carryover. So it just depends on how I control it. So I was looking at how to incorporate arm wrestling into my bodybuilding training down the road. So I'm looking to do less arm wrestling, just a little bit here, just supplement some arm workouts. Dude, arm wrestling is, have you seen arm wrestlers' arms? Like pro arm wrestlers, they're built differently. Their brachioradialis is just giant, and then their pronator muscles are bigger. That stuff is going to have a stage presence, and if you could just start again by sprinkling some arm wrestling work into your arm workouts as a bodybuilder, you know, you have arm day, do some arm wrestling work. They know how to train this muscle here better than bodybuilders. Those hammer curls, like, try what they're doing, and this muscle over here is you know what I mean, it's going to be a completely different animal, and then that's going to give that side that side look over there. So just kind of pulling out the best from all worlds here. That's great. I mean? Yeah, and now as an arm wrestler, as a professional arm wrestler, like, do they train both arms? It sounds like a dumb question.
No, it's not a dumb question at all. Most of them kind of do. I know this is kind of a crappy answer, kind of, but they're competitive one, but they often, like, if you lose an arm, that's your career as an arm wrestler, you know, and what are you going to do? Start from scratch on the other one? There's always that, the thing where you get good on one, the other one's going to get good no matter what, you know, because there's a term for it in science. You probably know what it is.
I used to, but I know what you're talking about. It's also prevalent for rehab. Yeah. You know, and it's a huge part of rehab. So tear a bicep, train the other bicep immediately. Helps with the rehab.
I would say all of them have a dominant arm, but most of them train both at the top levels, and at the kind of intermediate levels, from what I've observed, they're not as balanced. You know, they're more heavy on one. But this is just what I've observed. I may be completely wrong.
I'm more interested to see something that you said with him is they didn't have a whole lot of competing because of the COVID. Yeah. I'm more interested to see with those type of sports what the COVID rebound is going to be across all sports, because a lot of these guys, if just say NFL players, I mean, they still had a season, but it was a small season, but they actually ended up having a lot bigger off-season time periods where the ones that put in the work, brought up weak points, brought up those type of things. This next year across sports, for the sports that were shut down, like this arm wrestling thing, those that kept training have never had this long of an off season to heal, to work their technique and all this other stuff. So the ones that didn't do shit, just sat on their ass watching Netflix, they're not going to be, you'll be able to tell that. But what about the ones that did? Right? So just think from a bodybuilding perspective. I know they still had shows, but imagine if they didn't, right? And all these guys had to just completely deload and then have a full, I'm talking on the pro level, a full off season, more than a year. It'd be like Mr. Olympia that only competes once a year. Yeah. You know, think about the difference that can make across all sports. Yeah. If they do the work.
Man, you know, the unfortunate thing is that for bodybuilding, though, a lot of them are jerked around. They prepped, and then they were canceled. So they didn't really get that break.
They didn't get that.
Oh, man, you're right. If they had gotten that break there.
Yes.
Oh, man. So many of them would be so much healthier and be so much happier. They'd entered their prep, and they just, oh, man, it would have been so cool. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, if they knew they had 18 months to the next show, it's like, well, fuck. I mean, 2 months just, they're not going to be pounding things hard. Yeah. For a while, and they're just going to rest. Yeah. Well, a lot of sports that ended up happening. So when they start coming back online and start competing, I think we're going to see across almost all sports, I think we're going to see freaks pop up that we never saw before. Like, who the hell is that? And what are they doing? Right? And we're going to see other ones, just destroy people because they always had the work ethic. That's why they're great to begin with.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to watch. So that's going to be really cool to see. It's how that's going to impact. Track and field is a good example, right? It got pushed back. So what's going to happen with the Summer Olympics this year? Are records just going to get smashed like nobody's ever seen?
Right.
I don't know the answer. I'm just really curious.
Oh man, that's a really cool perspective. I never even thought about that. Let's see what happens then.
Exactly.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, also the other side of that coin is I can imagine we're also going to see some fairly catastrophic injuries of people trying to put 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag in a shorter amount of time.
Oh, you're saying like they've been pent ups for so long, they're just gonna.
Yeah, or have been like, we're not going to compete, and they've just been lazy.
That's even more reason to watch, right? So
Yeah,
you watch for the
it's a
accident,
train wreck.
you watch for the for the excellence,
Yeah.
and accidents.
Yeah,
Nobody watches for the other stuff.
because imagine one of those studs that have been training that have been doing it the right way. They've been resting, and they had this time off, and they become that superstar.
They're going to destroy people.
They're just going to run people over, especially the ones that haven't trained. It's just going to be.
Well, I mean,
such a
there's the
different
other hidden
experience.
variable too, though, where we all know athletes that compete at high levels. They still all trained. They still all found somewhere to train. They still all found a gym to train. So a lot of them probably didn't get the rest that I'm assuming that they got. If they're an Olympic wrestler, for instance, you really, really think that they just didn't train.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but they didn't enter the competitions that hurt them.
Exactly.
They didn't have to peak.
Yes.
Yeah.
They didn't have to peak. So that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah.